People assume real estate is contracts and closings, but for me, it started in uniform and not in a conference room. The truth is that my transition from the military world into real estate wasn't really a transition at all, and here's why. Hey y'all, I'm Malia, your Seattle and Washington real estate advisor, and today I want to talk about something really special that not a lot of people talk about. I'm going to be touching on how military life, structure, distance, the chaos, ever-changing situations really gave me the exact traits that most people look for in their real estate agent. Just to rewind a little bit, my dad was in the Navy for 30 years and he retired as an 06, a captain in the Navy. And I really valued everything that he did for our country and for our family, and so I decided to go into the military myself. I was also in the Navy for 2 years, not 30. I graduated out of Virginia Military Institute, class of 23, raw Virginia Mill, and went straight into the Navy after that. I was deployed for a year and a half of it. So I was basically deployed my entire career, and then the last few months I was able to start practicing real estate as I transitioned out, and that was very beneficial to where I am now. So yeah, military life teaches you, it teaches you adaptability, rapid situational awareness, reading rooms and understanding people, and then emotional resilience as well. Where most people will burn out, military personnel are really good at having grit and sticking through it. But when you leave that structure, the world starts to feel very unstructured. And that's completely normal, and that's why the military has so many transition programs to help people who are getting out. But even, just saying it doesn't, people don't talk about how scary it is not to have a stable paycheck once you're out, if you don't have a career. And it's very hard to get a career while you're still in the military. So yeah, I didn't realize that real estate was going to be the structure that I needed, and I'm very grateful that I found it while I was still in and had the opportunity to explore that while I was still in. And so my biggest advice to anybody who's watching that is, maybe in the military now and looking into going into real estate is just be brave enough to ask your CO if, you can start practicing real estate. Sorry. Anyway, my biggest advice to anybody who is in the military watching this now is to just be brave enough to go in and ask your CO, hey, I am planning on getting out. I would love the opportunity to practice real estate while still in and having a stable paycheck to support me. Everything I learned in the military translated into my real estate career. How I handle pressure, my negotiation discipline, showing up early, that's a big one, like right uniform, right place, right time, right? So be there in the right outfit, at the right place, and at the right time. That's very important. Protecting clients, that's something that a lot of people don't think about, but it is really crucial to protect your client's interest, and that you will see there's a lot of agents out there that won't be so respectful of your client's interest, because they only care about what they're getting out of it at the end of the day, which is not personally how I do business. But you will see that. So I take protecting my clients very seriously, and I believe that's something I get from my military career. Protect your own, serve your own. That is very important to me. And then I have a mission first mindset, with everything I do. Everything I do is very much so, my mission is my client. And so that mindset from the military translates directly into my real estate career. The 3 biggest mindsets that helped me the most coming out of the military would be 1, discipline without applause. In the military, we don't get told we're doing a good job. Very rarely will we get told we're doing a good job. Our job that is expected of us to do, we are expected to do our job, and we're expected to do it to standard. Like, we're not gun decking anything, right? We're not going to gun deck anything in real estate either. So discipline without applause. In the military, no one praises you for doing a good job. You just do it. And your clients, they're going to expect the same quiet competence. They will tell you, thank you for doing a good job. They'll tell you that. So you will hear it. You'll definitely hear it, and it's going to feel very weird. It was very weird for me to get my first 5-star review, and it seemed like I gave them the world basically, but at the end of the day, I just did what I would want anybody to do for me, and that was serving them to the best capabilities that I could serve them. 2 is situational scanning. Whether we know it or not, military life really does train us to walk into spaces and read details instantly. So whether it's I'm about to take over a watch, I'm doing my scan, I need to know everything that's going on in this pilot house before I take over this watch. Or it's something more drastic, like I'm standing watch on the quarterdeck and something is amiss, and I only know that because I'm constantly situationally scanning and standing my watch properly, right? So, military life really does treat you from not so extreme to extreme levels of what situation am I walking into. Heck, I even paid attention to if I'm going into the wardroom for lunch and the CO's in there. Is the CO in a good mood or in a bad mood? Maybe I'll skip lunch today, or grab something to go. So, you're constantly situationally scanning for those things. And in real estate, when you walk into a listing, as me coming out of the military, as I walk into that listing, what I see, and I do this even before I get out there, and this is again something I learned from the military, is gathering data before I present a problem, and also having a solution ready to go as I present that problem, right? So in real estate, I walk into a listing and I'll immediately see the negotiation leverage, the hidden defects, buyer psychology, seller psychology, as well as any emotional triggers that might come with that property. And so I have those problems presented and ready to go, but I don't present them until I have a solution. And usually those things, come at the same time. So it's very easy to do that. But if they don't, I tell them, hey, I don't know the answer to this. I'll get back to you. And people appreciate that. And then the final one is mission leadership. And so whether it's a first-time home buyer or a $1 million seller, they don't need hype. They need direction. And that comes from that mission critical mindset that we get in the military. It's do the job, get the job done, and do the job well. It's very simple. Very simple in the military. Real estate is also very simple. Why does this matter in real estate? Well, first of all, military transition creates sensitivity, adaptability, and what's the word I'm looking for? Radical empathy, meaning through just our transition from the military to the civilian world as a whole, we can really understand people better just from that one situation. Now imagine all the situations we go through in the military and how much that can help us better understand people. It's all about looking through it with a different lens. We military members, we get stuck up in the idea of, oh, I was in the military, nobody's going to understand what I went through except for military people. Well, that's not really true. I can put a lens on it and look through it as a civilian now and be like, well, it's actually very similar, and honestly, the military has helped me a lot with my civilian career. And so don't get stuck, thinking about it that way. Don't get stuck thinking about it as I am different than everybody else. You are, but that doesn't go to say that somebody doesn't understand you. And so use that to your ability, right, in your career. Really dive into the business of people, right? Be serious about people and understanding them, and you're gonna do great things, right? These clients want advisors and somebody who's going to articulate the things that they didn't or weren't comfortable enough to. And as soon as you open that door and say, "Hey, I think there's a leak in the roof," and they had already noticed it, and they were maybe too scared to say something because they were afraid you're going to still push them into buying it. Don't ever be pushy. Be respectful of people all the time. That's the biggest thing you can get out of this industry, right? Is always being respectful. That's the most rewarding thing. So don't be pushy. And so as soon as you open those floodgates and you say something that they were afraid to articulate, you really build a sense of trust and connection with them. And that is what military culture also teaches us. As an officer, I was 24 and I'm advising people on how to best live their life by helping them with financial situations or through depression, through various situations that I had never lived myself. But I'm very grateful that I was able to help guide people and just listening to people and trying to understand them, even though I didn't understand it myself, goes a long, long way. And the same is for real estate. Military life prepared me for more than just the chaos and the paperwork of being a real estate agent. It really helped out with that. It most importantly prepared me for the people, whether it was because I moved every few years growing up as a kid and had to change my identity all the time, or if it was because the 2 years I served, or being a military spouse, understanding that as well. Who knows what exactly did it, but a combination of all the skills I've learned throughout my military life has really benefited my career as a real estate agent. And I would advise you to remember that if you're working with a military buyer or seller, you're not just helping them find a home. You're quite literally helping them rebuild their identity. Who knows where they've moved from? Who knows their story? Everybody is so unique in the military, and it's a great, great thing. But you're not trying to sell them. You are rebuilding identity, and that is something that I really want anybody to kind of understand in the real estate industry when they're working with military personnel specifically. And if you are a military real estate agent, let these clients know that you see them because you have lived it. Hone in on that. Let them know that you've lived it too. That's huge. And I recommend following, of course, I recommend following me. If you want more insights into the emotional side of real estate, the psychology of it, and just Washington market intelligence as a whole. All right, have a good day. Bye, y'all.